Hello and welcome to the reflection from the United Benefice of East Clevedon for the first Sunday after Trinity. In the reading from the prophet Isaiah, God says, "Here I am." Despite how you're living your lives, I'm here for you. Despite how you disobey me, ignore me, I'm here for you, and my promises will be kept. And this gives me so much hope as I struggle with the world around us. God is gracious. He came to earth and showed us his face through Jesus, who opened his arms upon the cross for us. And not just for us, who are actively seeking our faith, but for everyone. And this is demonstrated in the gospel reading. The mentally ill and the demon-possessed are frightening. Their behaviour is unpredictable. It can be destructive to self or to others. The people of the city of Gerasenes, were frightened of him. He lived in the tombs, and quite often they managed to chain him there. And they were all full of fear for what he could do. But Jesus, he wasn't afraid. He sent the demons into the pigs who ran off the hill. The man was healed. However, in a complete turnaround, the people now feared Jesus and asked him to leave. He did what they asked him and left. So now, instead of more miracles and more healings, they let fear rule their lives. And the opportunity was lost at that time to welcome the grace of God into their lives. Fear can dominate our lives, stopping us doing things, and it can influence our faith as well. If we put aside our fear and our very human and acceptable excuses, what could God do in our lives, in our churches? Fear can be so paralysing, and human excuses are so plausible. It happens to all of us to a greater or lesser degree, says the woman who spent years resisting God's call, worrying about how others would cope with the decision to serve God. And then the 3 years of my training convinced I wasn't good enough. I was introduced to one of my favourite poems during this time. It's called Springtime Jesus, which is about Jesus turning our lives upside down if we let him in. We have a God who says, "Here I am," even to those who disobey him or ignore him. "Here I am," to those of us who are fearful of what he might change in our lives. We're reminded so often that our human strength isn't enough to face all challenges. We need to turn to God and use his strength and support. Remembering to do that can be problematic. Many of us embraced adulthood as a time to support ourselves, to make important decisions which would affect our futures, and to be responsible both for those decisions and for others. Two readings I came across earlier this week reinforced the need for reliance on God from Job, for he will complete what he appoints for me, and many such things are in his mind. And from Paul's letter to the Philippians, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. God is saying, here I am, your comfort, your support, the one who will carry you in difficult times, but also, if you let me, your life changer. The man who had been possessed of demons wanted to follow Jesus, but he was given, in my opinion, the harder task of returning to his home and telling everyone what God had done for him. Harder because he was returning to the people that had feared him, probably mistreated him over all these years. Harder because it's always more difficult to tell people you know how Jesus is working in your lives. His life was changed, not in the way he first wanted, but he obeyed Jesus and went back to his home and completed that circle of life, illness, and then life again. And God is always telling us throughout the Bible how he can support and comfort us in difficult decisions and when times are hard. Isaiah is a place where many of these quotes can be found. I am with you, he says. And so, the question is, at whatever stage of life you're at, are you prepared to respond to the God who opens his arms to you and says, here I am? Amen.